It is Monday, April 2nd. It is about midnight on the East Coast. Villanova has won its second national championship in 3 years. Some are saying, Tate, I'm one of them because there's no way of refuting this claim. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it to make me like, I'm just going to butter up to the Villanova fans. Because, you know, like when you win the national title, you just want to consume all of the content. So I know that like most of the people listening to this are Villanova fans. We have no Michigan fans that they're like, I'm done with the season. I hated basketball anyway. I'm done with the season. So it's all Villanova fans. So Villanova fans, while I have you here, I'm going to say it, Tate. They should have won 3 in a row if Amari Spellman was not ruled ineligible for like transferring in 7th grade to a different school.
This is a subtle dig to Wisconsin, I think, is what you're doing right now. This is what you're doing. You're pointing this out that Nigel Hayes, this moment would have never happened if Spellman was on the baseline to, you know, guard him when he made that little hesitation move. That's what you're saying. If Spellman's
exactly
playing
what
defense
I'm
on
saying.
Hayes, we stop this.
What I'm saying is
this could have been 3 in a row. This could have been a dynasty.
And even if it's not 3 in a row, I'm ready to say it. We have a dynasty on our hands because Villanova is going to be the best team next year. Duke is going to be the team that I say is #1 in the country because I cannot resist Duke content. It's just like it's my vice. It'll be my vice for the rest of my life. I will be dying. I will be flatlining on my deathbed, and someone will just whisper in my ear like, Mike Krzyzewski's got the top 3 recruits, and I'll just like spring back up. I'm like, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Yelling Zion.
So I will be saying Duke will be the best team, but like in all honesty, it's going to be Villanova again. They're probably going to win it again next year. We have a dynasty on our hands, Tate.
We had the chance for – this is like how it must have felt in 2006 when Florida won, you know. Even though this was probably more – like people understood that this could happen. Now we have this whole team that could all come back.
Did Florida's team come back? I don't remember what happened in 2007.
Right. They did all come back and win a title. I'm sorry to bring that up. But they could do that again. I also want to point out Jay Wright. He joins the multi-title club, which is like an illustrious group of coaches. I think he's the 14th member of the group. He now is no longer with the schlubs like Bill Self and John Calipari, these guys that have only won one title. Yeah, Kevin Ollie, of course, the great Kevin Ollie. But he gets into the Billy Donovan, Rick Pitino with an asterisk conversation of being the 2-time winner. And I just wanted to say that's pretty cool for Jay Wright. And it was right pick, right logic with a W this time. Your
Wildcats pick's looking good, Tate.
And the Wildcats pick is looking good. It's all kind of worked out for us. We even said it at Get So Odds at the start of the season. We made the pick.
We did
28-1. I honestly did not. I knew that Villanova, and I think we both knew Villanova was this good, but it just seemed like, you know, they get tripped up. It's either they lose in the second round or they win the title. That's pretty much been the formula. And if you pointed out that they could have won 3 in a row, they could have won 4 in a row. If they don't lose to NC State,
right? If they don't lose in the tournaments that they had been in,
and they could just keep winning. Because as we know, if they get past the second round, they win the title.
They win the title.
That's the formula.
As we said all season that Villanova was the best team in the country. Now, we also said that Virginia was the best team in the country, and we may have also said Duke was the best team in the country. You know, we said a lot of the teams were the best teams in the country, but none of those other teams won the national title. Villanova did, so we're talking about them right now. We did go on against all odds at the beginning of the year and say Villanova is the best bet to win the national championship. Called it. I don't know. Are we, you know, should we get some of that money that everyone bet, that we have people tweeting at us, thanks, guys? I don't know.
I think the most insulting thing I've seen is that people are tweeting at us like, you know, they're getting their payout, and it's like they bet $5 or $10 or $15.
Yeah.
Like they had no faith in like betting more than that. They're like, I mean, I really don't trust these guys at all. I'll just put $10 on it. But like, you know, maybe
I wonder how much money people put on like Miami, because I also like dropped them as a dark horse.
$250.
But we were actually adamant that Villanova was very good. The other thing I've been adamant about, and I'm excited about this, and I'm going to be obnoxious about this until my dying day, was that Jalen Brunson is not the best player on the team.
Is he a system player?
Jalen Brunson is not the best player on this team. I'll say it until I die. I don't understand why this is even controversial. I think this was the moment when Jalen Brunson, when it was official that he swept every National Player of the Year award. I think this is that I decided I'm detaching myself from college basketball media. I will not renew my U.S. Basketball Writers Association, whatever.
You're boycotting.
I'm no longer media, because if this is what college basketball media is,
you're going rogue.
Is thinking that
you're
guy
a maverick.
That goes 4 for 13 in the national championship game with 2 assists and 4 fouls
with his season low.
Now, if I told you that the National Player of the Year would go 4 for 13 with 2 assists and 4 fouls in the national championship game, what would you guess the outcome would be on any given year?
A win if he's Jalen Brunson and he plays with Villanova.
Right. Any other guy, you're like, well, I'm guessing they lost, because if he's really the best player.
Yeah. If Anthony Davis does that,
if Anthony Davis,
we have a problem.
You're screwed.
Yes.
You're screwed. Guess what? Villanova wins by, what was it, 20? 19 was the final?
17. 79-62.
Huh. That's weird. That's weird. I don't know, Tate. Who could have possibly seen this coming?
Well, no one could have seen the Dante DiVincenzo, Dante's Peak, Dantes Inferno. There's so many Dante jokes that are going around right now. He has 31 points.
Well, did we ever settle on the Dante Culpepper thing? Like, Dante, remember we had something, like Pepper's being hot, and you have Dante. And, God, we're back to square one with that.
We have to figure it out. But
we were supposed to workshop that. We never did.
Well, he said so many nicknames, like the Big Ragu, and, like Bill Raftery has thrown out a million things about Dante DiVincenzo. He's had all these moments over time. He had the tip-in against Virginia last year that everyone went crazy over. And then it's somehow like he gets kind of forgotten and lost in the shuffle. Even going into this game, we kept saying, you got to watch out for Bridges. You have to watch out for Spellman. And then somehow he has 31 points, his career high. He wins the most outstanding player. And this is the first time, I don't know if people realize this, that a guy has come off the bench against Michigan in a national title game and just lit him up and won most outstanding player. It's never happened before.
Never, ever happened.
Like, it may seem like it happened. It may be like you dreamt it or you've seen it before, but it did not happen.
Nope.
There's an asterisk.
It was you had the Men in Black stick was put up, whatever, and it was just
you never saw this.
Memory.
Mark Emmert came up and just did it, and
Mark Emmert grew his hair out, didn't he? Like, what is that?
He's looking more and more like Robert Kraft every day.
I 100% thought Mark Emmert was going to present the national title while wearing sunglasses. That's his look right now. He's got the hair going to the like. He looks like the guy who would wear sunglasses as he presents the title.
He looked like he flew back from the Bahamas just for this game to San Antonio, just to be like, "Hey guys, good stuff, fellas."
And we as a community, as a college sports community, everybody hates Mark Emmert. It's just like even if I feel like even the people that are like, I don't know if players should be paid. I mean, they are getting scholarships. Like even those people, I think, hate Mark Emmert. But for some reason, we don't really boo him when he comes on. I don't understand it. Like NFL's got it figured out. The NHL's really got it figured out with Gary Bettman. They just blew that. Like, that's the best part of the Stanley Cup every year.
But the best part is that Gary Bettman trolls them back. Like, he tries to make rules to piss them off. Like, he knows what they don't like, and he's like, let me just lean into this really, really hard right now.
But yeah, every time Mark Emmert comes on, they're like, I don't know. Everyone's just so excited that their team won. I know.
You're euphoric, and everyone, especially if you're down 17, all those Michigan fans, we know that they're already out of the building. They're so fickle at this point. They're like, I have to be out of here.
Ooh, you taking a shot? Are we off the bandwagon?
No, we're not off the bandwagon.
Let's talk about Michigan. We've given the Villanova love. Villanova fans are probably going to be mad at us. You only spent 10 minutes talking about us.
Well, it was the second most dominant run, second in 2009.
Honestly,
17.7
in a weird
points
way.
per game,
I've been saying this. I don't know if I say it on this podcast because it's all blended. Like you and I
don't know what I've said.
We're media moguls. We're going on all over every network that exists talking about this stuff. People just want to hear from us. So I don't know where I said this, but the Villanova run was almost boring. Certainly not in the play on the court. Like
you
so
said this
fun
in
to
the
watch.
Uber uninterrupted video.
I said it. I said it when I was drunk in the Uber in San Antonio. At 2:30 a.m. That's right. Now I remember. Yeah, it wasn't a show. It was drunk in an Uber. That's right.
Somehow you're always on.
Yeah, I'm always on. When you're like me, you're always on. It wasn't like boring. It obviously wasn't boring on the court. It was just like there was maybe one moment against West Virginia. Where you thought they might potentially maybe sort of kind of have to play well to gut this one out. And, like, outside of that, there was never – even tonight against Michigan –
when they were down 7, 21-14.
It felt like to me that Villanova came out in this game and said, we're just going to rain threes like we did against Kansas. And that's going to be the vibe of this game. Michigan did what they had to do. Made it like a defensive, like we're going to stop Villanova. Villanova wasn't really interested in playing defense because they're like, we don't need to play defense. We're going to hit 18 threes again and just blow them out. So they weren't really playing defense. It became kind of difficult offensively for them. And then they started to get a feel for like, oh, it's going to be one of those games. So Michigan's going to try to make it like Texas Tech did, like West Virginia tried to do, like just kind of physical
make
defense.
It ugly.
Yeah, that's what they're – oh, so we might have to actually play defense. Okay, fine, we'll play some defense. And then they play defense, and then that was that.
That was that. And Wagner started out so hot in this game, and it looked like this.
And so what I'm saying is, like, even in that moment when they're trailing, I mean, I personally just felt like I'm not gonna say like I knew they were definitely gonna win, but I wasn't even kind of panicking that oh shit, is Michigan really gonna win this? It was like no.
And when they took the lead, I think it was 23-21. I think it was even a comment that was made. It was like, is this gonna be the last time that Michigan had a lead? And it was kind of like, no, they're going to go back and forth. And it was. It was the end.
It was the last time.
Dante just completely lost. He went
and to that
11-0 when he has 18 plus.
This entire run, like, if you check the heart rate, basically what I mean by Villanova was boring, just so people understand the point I'm making, is that if you
dominance can be boring.
If you charted the heart rate of Villanova fans during March Madness, it's just like it's like they're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
They were never panicking. They're just kind of like, oh, cool, we're doing it.
Yeah, they rustled and rolled around a little bit against Bob
They're
Huggins.
almost spoiled.
Yeah.
I think they're spoiled at this point.
So, I'm sure they'll love that. I'm sure they'll love that. I thought it was great that right now the Massimino family, like all the old head Villanova fans are now like getting to enjoy, the spoils of being a blue blood. I think it's the first time.
Oh, are you saying it? Are you busting it out? I think they are a
blue blood, right? We have to say that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's spend the next hour and a half just hashing out who the blue bloods of college basketball are, because that's the most important question I think everybody has is is Indiana? Do they still count? Does UCLA count? UCLA has the most titles. They've only won one since like the Wood.
We're definitely not talking about the Pac-12. That's the rule number one of this podcast. Until next year, and they can redeem themselves. We're not talking about. Pac-12. So
who comes back from Villanova? Bridges is definitely gone, 100% gone.
He's a top 10 pick.
He was the best player on the national championship team. He's got to go.
Also had 19 tonight.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Yeah. Weird, huh?
And we said at halftime, DiVincenzo has 18 at the half, and this is exactly what happened when they played Alabama. And he has like 0. He comes in the second half, he has 0 points, but it's Bridges from the start. And it's like, okay, DiVincenzo, thanks for handling that for us. All right, now it's your turn, Mikal. You handle the second half. You keep us rolling. You're our guy now.
And Jalen, you're the national player of the year, so why don't you sit on the bench and just cheer these guys on?
How about you just clap for our guys?
And then when we win the title, just like hog the trophy and not let anybody else touch it.
I think that was the most egregious thing I've seen, because this Villanova team, there was the little play when Brunson got hit and all 4 guys run over. It's the 5 starters, and they help him up. And everyone's like, this Villanova team, they make the extra pass. They're all about the teamwork. And then Jalen Brunson gets the trophy, and not one of the personal team could hold. He finally gave it to DiVincenzo when he's getting like interviewed by Jim Nance as the most outstanding player. He finally gave it up begrudgingly, and then he just started making out with it while DiVincenzo was holding it. It's like, leave him alone. How
about Phil Booth gets no shine whatsoever at the end of the whole ceremony? Yeah. Phil Booth says, "Can I say one thing to Jim Nance?" Jim Nance is like trying to take the microphone.
Jim Nance is like, "I've already thrown to the tees."
Jim Nance is like, "Listen here, you little shit. Let me explain how this works. I've been doing this."
He starts talking to Coach
30 goddamn years. I got Gus Johnson. Do you know where Gus Johnson is right now? Nobody does.
Nobody.
I killed that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same to you. You try that.
Do you like FS1? They're like, "Yeah, we play on FS1." It's like, never mind. I forgot I was talking to a Big East team.
So Bridges is gone, 100% gone.
Yes.
Brunson, 95% gone, right?
I think there is a world in which Jalen Brunson comes back to school.
What is that world? Where like
the world is
where the NBA scouts are like, we don't give a shit about the college fans buying into this idea that you're the best player. We actually know the truth.
When he looks on a draft board and it's like Tony Carr is 15 spots in front of him, he's like, what?
He's like the 12th highest rated point guard.
It's kind of like Joel Berry.
Hold on, I want to calm down for a second because I feel myself getting out of control. I think Jalen Brunson is very, very, very good. I just want to like hit this point. I think like being in San Antonio and running into Villanova fans who tried to fight me because they're like, Titus, why do you hate Jalen Brunson? Mm-hmm. It's never been about that. It's been about just like he should not win National Player of the Year.
It's about the narrative.
He should win every other.
It's not about the player. It's about the narrative.
It's about the narrative. It's about.
It's never personal. It's about the narrative. It's like Sister Jean. It's not about you, sister. It's about the narrative.
Jalen, it's not personal. I cheer for your success.
It's not your fault.
I like you as a person. You're a good guy.
Jalen, it's not your fault.
Jalen, you're a good guy. You're a very good guy. However, it's pretty ridiculous. You think Brunson's coming back?
I think Brunson's going to come back. I think
on what grounds? Just like the dream of 40-0, the dream of
like I'm going to be the greatest college basketball champion of all time.
Now hold on.
Yeah.
If he does that,
then we're talking.
Then we're
cooking. And he can take Quinterly, who like we don't even know anything about this guy other than he's a 5-star point guard. That was a big.
Is that all we know, or do we also maybe we have some ideas about maybe some other things?
Yeah. Some would say. But we bring him in, and you get to mentor him, Like Jalen Brunson's got Quinterly coming off the bench. He gets to, say this is how Villanova basketball works. He has his last little hoorah without Bridges taking the spotlight from him. I don't think he was excited.
Except this time it's DiVincenzo, it's Spellman.
And
Brunson wins. For the second year, he wins National Player of the Year as the 5th best player on his team.
That's what I'm saying. I think the problem with this team is that I think DiVincenzo and Booth and Pascal and Spellman, all those guys come back. I guess Brunson comes back too, I'm saying, in this situation. And they could just run it back and just win it all again. And
that would be awesome.
And Gillespie is didn't even play in this game, doesn't even matter, but he's literally Arcidiacono. I thought that Arcidiacono just put a jersey on and started playing. We saw Josh Hart on stage with the team. This Villanova it's
just all blending together.
They're all just staying together, and we keep forgetting who's on the team anymore and who isn't. I'm surprised Chris Jenkins didn't take a shot in this game at some point.
Javon Pinkston checks in with
Curtis Sumter.
5 minutes
Curtis
left.
Sumter
Wait a
calls
second,
in.
is that really? So I'm with you. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that happens.
I'm for that completely. I want this is a weird thing where Villanova is dominating college basketball, and I feel like nobody hates them. Like, the fact that I'm saying I welcome this kind of feels weird, because if this was any other team, and not just Duke. I mean, Duke's the obvious one where you're like, I hate Duke because they're so good. But like, even if Kansas, who I'm pretty neutral on Kansas. Like, I don't know. I've never hated Kansas for any reason. If Kansas won 2 titles in 3 years and kind of had this 5-year run that Villanova's having, I'd be like, all right, enough of Kansas.
Or
Screw
Kentucky,
get this
or
out
Carolina,
of
or any of those schools like that. Yeah. You feel that way.
And it wouldn't even have to be them. Even if it was like Tennessee or something, I'd be like, all
or
right,
Arkansas.
Enough of Tennessee. Get it out.
I've
seen enough. But for some reason, there's like something about Villanova. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's run this back. This was fun. I like this. And I hope they do. But Brunson's probably gone. Bridges is probably gone. Spellman, I thought, had a chance based on like just
what he did to Kansas.
Yeah, he's just gotten
after
hot.
After he ruined Azubuike.
Because that was the big matchup going into the Kansas game, and he balled
pretty
out.
much handled it. Yeah.
And so I thought, but I don't really know. I don't think Spellman. I mean, Wagner was,
Wagner had a great game.
So I think Spellman's coming back. That's the good news. I thought Jay, the biggest mistake he made in this game was leaving Dante DiVincenzo in the game with like 7 minutes left, because I'm like 12% worried that DiVincenzo is going pro. Like, he's feeling himself a little too much.
I think there's a world in which he does go, but I don't know. This Villanova team is it's good for college basketball because they lean into college basketball. It's not the Kentucky situation or a Duke situation where you get hot and we want to push you out.
Ooh, those one and dones. We hate those guys.
God,
they're ruining the game.
Yeah, it's hurting the game so much. It's also crazy this Villanova team has redshirt guys and that matter and that are really good. Like, the fact that, I mean, I know Spellman's redshirt situation is a little different because of like a technicality, so I guess that doesn't really count. But just these guys that have been redshirt guys, like even Bridges, right? He's a redshirt guy.
Yeah, I think. I think so.
Yeah,
I think he is.
Like they just have stars that are redshirt guys that are just like matter to their team and are important. And then you got like Booth, who somehow affects his team in whatever weird way he does. You don't even see it sometimes. Like, I know the last title they won, he had 20 points. In this game, I don't even know. I didn't feel like he scored in this game, but somehow he's involved in everything, and the team kind of rallies around those core guys. I don't know. They have a program built. They have a good program. Are they the Warriors of college basketball? Are they the Warriors of college? Is that what you say?
Hey, folks, you see this program they got built here? This is pretty good. It's a pretty good program. Michigan lost. They are the 7th Big Ten team, I believe. So we have, let's go through them again. Indiana in 2002 to Maryland. Illinois in 05 to North Carolina. Something happened in 07 we don't need to
Ohio
talk
State, yep.
09, Michigan State loses to North Carolina.
17 points.
13 never happened either.
13, we don't. I wish I remember what happened in 2013.
I don't remember. It's so weird.
I can only imagine if someone came off the bench, had 22 points, and won most outstanding player.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know.
I can't even fathom a moment like that.
And someone got a certain tattoo somewhere. It's just, I don't know. 15, Wisconsin loses to Duke, so that would be 6, and then now 18, Michigan loses to Villanova. That's seven times. I don't even know what point I'm trying to make here, Tate. I'm just saying.
What's going on with the Big Ten? I think is the point that you're making. And
can we win one, please?
I think that everyone this year thought that Michigan State was the team in the Big Ten. I know we at this program, other than our Villanova love, we had a little bit of a suspicion that this Michigan State team was going to kind of have to figure it out, and they had the Flint guy. You know, they had the formula.
Well, Miles Bridges came back to do it.
It was like, this is the team. They're going to do this. So that doesn't work out, obviously. Michigan makes this beautiful run. We start thinking they're a team of destiny. But what really happened was we didn't stay in San Antonio. And for that, to friend of the program, Duncan Robinson and all those guys, I wish we had been there. I think we could have chained the mojo in the building. I wish we would have sacrificed ourselves. I wish I would not have stayed up all night Sunday night and had to wake up for a 7 a.m. flight. And by wake up, I mean just stay up and go right to the plane. And now I'm sitting here. I can't even get my thoughts together because I'm so worn out. And, I wish I could have just stayed in San Antonio. That would have been amazing.
If you notice, like, every time I try to raise my voice or go like a little higher with my voice, it just gives out.
If you notice that I say I think before every time I say anything, it's because I can't think right now.
I'm actually
like trying to trigger my brain to think.
I'm trying to trick you guys. We're trying to say I think, but really, I'm not. Spoiler alert: we're not thinking. Yeah, we jumped on the Michigan bandwagon after Swaggy Poole hits the shot to beat Houston.
Yes, Jordan.
You and I did not miss a Michigan game for the rest of the run until tonight. Oof.
Ooh.
Are we taking oof? Oh, I hate to, as an Ohio State alum, I just hate to see that happen to the Wolverines. I really do.
I think you may have secretly trolled the team. Maybe you made me leave.
That's what the big question's going to be. The big question coming out of One Shining Podcast is: was I genuinely on the Michigan bandwagon?
Duncan, I wanted to say,
or was this always a jinx? and that's what no one's going to know. I think I'm going to take that to my grave and make it a mystery. Was I feel bad for Duncan. He went 0 for 3 tonight. For those who don't know, Michigan fans know this because they keep bringing it. Like every Michigan fan we saw in San Antonio, because we talk about Duncan Robinson so much, they love bringing up the stat test that when he scores like 7 points, they're undefeated in every game. And
then we brought up if Dante DiVincenzo scores 18, Villanova's undefeated.
If Villanova's undefeated in every game, that Dante DiVincenzo just goes nuts in the first half. It's weird.
Strange.
I don't want to. I'm not calling out. I'm not calling out Duncan.
We're not calling out. First of all, we're not personally calling out anyone.
I'm not personally calling. But if you're Duncan Robinson and you know that every time you score 7 points, your team's going to win, and you're going to the national championship game, how the hell do you only shoot 3 times? Explain that to me, Duncan.
How about your teammates? How do you not pass them the ball?
Pass him the ball.
Yes.
I would shoot it every time. I would get my 7 points. I would just turn to the bench and be like, check me out.
Yeah.
It's over.
I've done my duty.
Home, and I would just stand on the scores table and put my arms out.
What else do you want from me?
Shoot the confetti. Shoot that shit. Let's go. Let's do it.
3 for 11, 7 points. What do you want from me, folks?
What else do you want? Yeah, he goes over 3. That was sad. But I don't know. It's like the whole Michigan run. It's one of those things. As someone, again, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I did it with Ohio State where we ran to the title game. We lost. It sucks in the moment. But I promise you, to the Michigan players listening to this, because there are multiple players listening. We'll get to that one in a second. To the Michigan players listening to this is something you'll remember for the rest of your life positively. There will not be a moment of, man, if only. I promise you that. You will look back on this and you will say, what a ride, what an experience.
What a regional in Los Angeles. How much fun did I have there? Yeah.
How awesome was it that the Duffel Bag boys came into our locker room? I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. So yeah, it sucked to see them all sad and all that kind of thing. But it's one of those. It's like when someone who's like 107 years old dies, and like people try to be sad, but then someone stands up.
They had a good run.
He's 107. He lived a great life. He had a great, loving family. Like, what else are we supposed to do? That's kind of how I feel about Michigan. It's like, yeah, you lost. It sucks, but I mean, come on. It was a great run.
Speaking of losses, let's talk about Robbie Hummel. I'm just kidding. Only Robbie Hummel will get that joke.
Oh, well, we're going to talk about Robbie in a second. Don't you worry. Let's talk about. I brought up Michigan players. Our friend Kevin O'Connor,
yes,
who is best friends with Mo Wagner. We watched the title game with KOC tonight, and he says that him and Wagner are like apparently best buds.
They're like texting back and forth.
Mad respect to Wagner for for seeing this, for exploiting Kevin, for understanding that like.
If I'm going to get drafted, I have to be, favored, and valued in this man's
because KOC is like you and I. We're like, if you're just nice to us, we'll be like, yeah, I love that guy. Like I told the story where Jay Williams just dapped me up at the bar in San Antonio. I was like, all right, I'm a Jay Williams fan for the rest of my life now. And we talked to JP McCurry and we're like, this whole time I thought he was an asshole, but
he's not.
I talked to him for 2 minutes, and now folks, I'm convinced he's a great guy. Wagner knows
just misunderstood.
Wagner knows this about KOC, so he's like become best friends with him. And apparently, Wagner heard through the grapevine, or maybe even listens to. Maybe he's a friend of the program.
We're not sure.
He heard you talking shit about how he's a media whore. Yeah. I certainly was not.
I called him a media whore. Just the fact that came out of my mouth is unbelievable. But that was at the Elite Eight. I think that was at the Elite Eight when he was waving at himself and he was just calling the attention on himself.
What started it all was the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, well, of course.
Where Duncan had the play. They got the and one, and then Wagner cuts him off and flexes
right in front of the camera.
Listen, Mo, we're calling you out. It's not a bad thing. You play to the camera. That's a good thing. You're like the Sister Jean of Michigan. You're taking the spotlight for yourself so that way the rest of the guys can
focus.
Again,
it's not the person. It's the narrative. It's not you personally.
But we got to get him on the pod this summer because I just want to ask him about the game against Loyola when he jumped over. They showed it 1,000 times when he jumped over Grant Hill, the score table.
Grant Hill's
It looked like Wagner could have stopped like 5 feet before the scores table.
And he was laughing as he landed. That's how you know he could have stopped.
Yeah, he had like a split second of like, should I do it? Yeah, screw it. I'll do it. I'll just do it. And he just decided to jump over because he knew he'd play well to the camera.
Well, because he knew it would be good for the One Shining Moment montage. When they won the title, they'd have like,
that's what I'm saying.
They had ups and downs.
It's almost not even an insult. It's like a compliment. Like the dude is so media savvy. He knows what he's doing. So
yeah, he's so media savvy. He is sucking up to a man that writes a draft guide. before he gets drafted in the NBA. That's how media savvy
Wagner
is.
played really, really well tonight at the start.
Yes, it was a great start for Michigan. Like if you tune into this game early on, you're like, wow, this is exactly how Michigan has to play. They're closing on the 3-point line. They've been so great defending the 3 all tournament.
They were hitting threes like right out.
Wagner splashed that first
They hit
three.
3 threes all game, and like the first 2 were like immediately.
Yep.
That first whatever was exactly what Michigan was trying to do. It was just like Villanova.
It only worked for 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Dante DiVincenzo came in the game.
That's the terrifying thing about that. It was like Villanova played a B+ game probably.
As we were
by 17.
As we were saying about the Kansas game, like when Kansas lost to Villanova, it's like Kansas played a B+ game and they got blown out. And like in this game, Villanova plays a B+ game, Michigan plays like a B game, and they blow them out by 17. This was the most dominant run since 09 for sure. I know that you're going to say that's because, I want to bring up North Carolina, but it really was the exact same way where every single game you had talked yourself into the other team for whatever reason. You're like, well, they got the emotional chip. It was Michigan State and Detroit after all that, everything that happened with Ford and everything like that. So everyone's like, they got something to play for, and then they just get blown out. And like Michigan, it was like, this is the team of destiny. Wagner looks unstoppable. We just had 24 and 15. It just seems like this is their year. And then Villanova's like, no, we've been the best team.
There's only one team of destiny.
Yeah, we've been doing this.
And to Villanova's credit, not that anyone's not giving them credit. I mean, this was an amazing run. But the path that they took to get to the title game
was very undervalued, yeah.
Like, we didn't really talk about that. I mean, we looked at the results of the games, but this was not a situation like Loyola or Michigan where people were sort of devaluing. Well, look at actually who they beat.
Yeah, their region got blown up.
Michigan gets to the title game without playing a 5 seed or better. Loyola kind of had theirs blown up where they didn't really have to play the big dogs to get to the Final Four.
They played the Wildcats.
But Villanova has the 16, then the 8-9. Well, I forget what Alabama. I think they were 9, right?
They were the 9 seed. That's what I'm saying. The second round game was against Colin Sexton and an Alabama team that looked ferocious.
They got the 9.
First round.
Sweet 16 games against Javon Carter in West Virginia. You got Texas Tech in the Elite 8.
Yep.
It was a 3 seed. So
and a team that just had been physical and playing good defense, like kind of a shitty matchup for them.
You got 1 seed Kansas in the Final Four, and then the 3 seed to win it all, and you wipe the floor with every single one of those teams. It's crazy. It's hilarious how when Loyola was winning, I saw a lot of columns being written about how it's perfect that Loyola's doing this, and maybe Loyola's going to do it because this is the season of chaos. This is the season of the FBI. All the
16
off-court
over
stuff.
1, yeah.
And then the 16 over 1 happens, and it's like, this is a pivotal moment in college basketball history where we'll look back and we'll be like, man, that's when college basketball really went nuts and got crazy.
Was that the sea change?
And did that change the landscape of everything forever? And then Villanova was like, no, it didn't. We were the best team all year. Phil Booth got hurt for a few games.
7 games.
We got bored. We were sick of winning the Big East. Yeah. This isn't a real conference.
We lost to Providence. We're sorry.
We win the damn thing every year. Like, we're sick of doing this every year. So what?
They wanted Chris Mack to have his one Big East regular season before
so
he
he
left.
Go to Louisville,
that was very nice.
Get him out of here. And that was that. And now it's like funny where we stand now, where it's like, oh, so there's really no compelling story other than just Villanova kicked everybody's ass and has like a dynasty budding.
I think the most compelling thing to me is the Jay Wright, just where he is a legacy and where he is as a coach, and when it looks at Villanova as a program and what he's done, because there was that whole like crop of coaches, whether it was Self and Calipari and all those guys that were coming up, and Jay Wright was sort of the forgotten one. Like even Billy Donovan, all those guys were talked, like as if they were, on a different level, different tier than Jay Wright, and Jay Wright couldn't do anything major. Yeah. That's, he had the worst reputation for all that.
Dude, I was.
Everyone was saying he's playing basketball the wrong way. It's like he's got these guards. He has to play the percentages. It's not a way to win titles, and they have just they've stayed steady throughout this entire time, and now the way to win titles is to shoot threes and to play this way outside in, and he's perfectly fit for it. And now they're ruining the rest of these people because they don't know what to do.
Is Villanova bad for women's basketball? Is what people are going to start asking themselves.
Yes,
he was Jay Wright 4 years, not even 4 years ago. This isn't like
2014.
We're not talking like 12 years ago. This transition that he's done is like a snap of a finger. 4 years ago, I was probably more guilty of it than anyone else. He is the handsome coach that wears the expensive suits. He's the guy who chokes in the second round and does the CBS desk stuff, and that's just who he is. And he gets he gets guards to come play for him because they shoot a ton of threes, but that's never going to be sustainable. They don't play defense well enough. These were things that we were all certain about Jay Wright, and now he's like he's the best coach in the country.
Yeah.
I think like right now.
That's what I mean.
He has to be the best, and that's incredible.
I think if you asked someone in 2015 after they lost to NC State in that second-round game, if you said to them, hey, Villanova's going to win 2 titles in 3 years and Jay Wright's going to be the best coach in college basketball, a lot of people would have looked at you and been like, that's impossible. First of all, it's impossible that could have happened. Second of all, like, how could his legacy have changed so quickly?
Is there perhaps maybe another handsome coach out there who's a choker right now?
Tony. Come on, Tony.
It always comes back to Virginia
Come on,
with
Tony.
you and I. Come on, Tony. You can do it.
You can do
we
it,
believe
Tony.
in you.
Yes.
Next year's the year. You got anything else on the title game?
I just want to say, for all the people out there that have, followed us for this whole tournament, this whole run, and have been a part of us covering this whole entire tournament, Villanova, I just don't even think we gave them enough credit. Like as I'm going back and like trying to figure out how much I think we just kind of did it as a throwaway. It was like eventually this team's going to hit some team that's going to finally expose them. They're going to go cold. And I don't know. I wish I would have bought in more to the.
I bought in. I was saying it from day one. I bought in from the start.
I'm saying this as someone who said 28-1 you should pick this team, but I just always thought that they were going to trip up at some. Even the Alabama game.
It's become sort of boring. Not in how they play. Just sort of like it's become like the only thing.
It doesn't even seem real how good they are.
Yeah. It's
like,
just
like they're just hitting all these threes. You're like, are you kidding me?
It's just there's like no the one time I felt alive watching Villanova, like with the Villanova season, was when they lost to St. John's at home, and I was like, awesome, this is something different, cool. Now you have my because like it's just the same thing over. They just wipe the floor with everybody in the Big East. Xavier's like the big challenger. Xavier won the Big East this year. We should mention that. But even Xavier gets destroyed every time they play Villanova, and you're just like, okay, Xavier won, but like Villanova's clearly better.
And they still have the cop out of when they lost to St. John's, they don't have Phil Booth in the game. So it's like we didn't even have our real lineup.
So all year it's just like, I mean, of course, like they're there. I don't know, like it's a weird spot to be in because I'm sort of spoiled. Watch it, like it's not from a place of like I don't like this team or I discredit what they're doing. It's just like they're always going to be there. I know I don't need to worry about Villanova because I know that they are always going to win next year. All of their starting lineup could go to the NBA, and I know they're going to win at least 25 games. I know they're going to probably win the Big East, and I know they're going to get a 1 or a 2 seed. That's where we're at with them.
And they're just so nonchalant about it, especially Jay Wright. Like even them winning the national title, Jay Wright gets the microphone, and the first thing he does is try to congratulate Michigan and how great of a season they had, and he does this whole good guy routine. It's like, dude, you just won your second national title in 3 years. Most of these coaches, there's such an ego to them that, like, when that happens, they're just, like, on cloud 9. Like, I told you. You like that.
I told you.
Like that.
That's what Huggins would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Huggins is grabbing his nuts. Like,
what do you think about these 3 stars? Yeah, I don't know. I just can't believe that Jay Wright has gotten to this point where it's just so easy and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal even when they're doing this. And he cares more about building facilities on campus and like building bridges on campus and trying to expand, the infrastructure of Villanova, the university. Like all these good guy things that you expect from a college basketball coach, Jay Wright does. And I just don't understand it. It's just amazing.
So Villanova, where do we stand with the old Big East now? Like Syracuse has the 1 title. Georgetown has the 1 title.
Villanova has 3
now.
Great for the Massimino family, by the way. It's just great. Yeah. It's just great for the family.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll kind of indulge ourselves, talk about our personal experience in San Antonio. All right, we're back. Villanova won by 2 months.
Villanova won by 17 points.
Villanova won by 17 points.
If you haven't checked it out.
We could keep talking about that game, but instead, let's talk about how you and I walked around San Antonio in tuxedos and people recognized us, because that's really why we do this podcast, is not to analyze college basketball. It's to become famous and to have the glory poured upon us by the fans of college basketball. Many of whom we met, a lot of friends of the program out in San Antonio. Tate, what stood out to you as we were mingling with the people of San Antonio? Just the whole experience of being down there, other than like being just completely exhausted at all point.
I think the coolest thing and the best thing that we did, and it was so much fun for us, was every single fan, whether it was Loyola, Michigan, Kansas, Villanova, that came up and talked to us. No matter what, we first of all said that we felt like their team. This was their year. There was a team of destiny. We wished them luck, and we're pulling for them. And the worst version of that was after Loyola had just lost, we were outside and we had to shoot this video that we were sending back to Ringer HQ here to put out to the world on the social medias. And we shoot the video, and these Loyola fans are right there, and they're talking to us. And I just been doing the same can lines. Well, good luck, have a good time, guys. Good luck tonight. And I did the same thing, and they had just lost, and these fans were just devastated. They're like, yeah, there is no luck. We just lost.
We just lost, but thanks.
It was the first time I was like, all right, yeah. I gotta stop doing this. I can't keep playing the political card here.
My favorite thing was that like 3 or 4 people would say, "Oh, Titus Tate, I'm a huge fan," and then be like, "Awesome, man. I'm sure you are," because like we could spot. We brought this up on the last podcast.
Yeah,
there are a lot of trolls, a lot of people that recognize us that would say nice things, but you could tell that they were
they had another agenda. How about the people that would yell? They would yell your name, and then we'd be like, "What's up?" And then they would just be like, "Oh, okay," and then they just keep walking. It's like troll.
But my favorite, so the people would be like, "We're huge fans," and then I kind of like size them up. I'm like, "Are we sure? Are we sure you're a huge fan?"
But how do you know that they're a true fan?
What they would say, I swear to God, like 3 or 4 people said, different people, not even in the same group. They would say, "I'm not a John Diebler. I'm a real fan."
Yeah. Said, "I'm not John Diebler. I listen to the podcast," which is great.
And that's become my favorite thing. So like that's my new thing for friends of the program to prove that you're a legitimate fan. Say you're not John Diebler, and if you're new and you don't understand the reference, my former teammate John Diebler texted me. He's
a liar.
He's basically a liar. He's playing over in Europe, and he texted me one time and was like, "Dude, I love the podcast. I listen to it all the time." And so to see if he actually did, I called him out like on the very next pod we recorded. And I was like, "Hey, Diebler, if you're actually listening to this, text me." And then he still has never texted me. And
which it doesn't necessarily mean he didn't listen to it. It may just mean like he didn't want to reach out. Yeah,
that's true too.
So maybe we'll give the benefit of the doubt there.
But I found it absolutely hysterical that like 3 or 4 independent people all. To prove, you could say all sorts of things, and they all went to, "I'm not John Diebler."
That's actually going to be the tagline of Friends of the Program. I'm not John Diebler.
We would put that on if Kyle got his shit together and actually got us some merch.
Which he
never will. We would put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I am not John Diebler. So yeah, we did a lot of time walking along the Riverwalk, drinking.
I am David Laddie. I am not John Diebler.
I'm not John Diebler. That'd be great. I would buy that shirt.
Yes, you would.
What else stood out about the Riverwalk? A lot of fans. The Villanova, Michigan fans obviously stuck around. We didn't see quite as many Loyola and Kansas fans after their teams lost. I don't know.
It was basically what I would say about San Antonio. This is my first time in San Antonio. The Riverwalk is something else. I had no idea what to expect. You always hear like you got to go to the Riverwalk in San Antonio. You got to see what it's like. I think the most fun that I had at the Riverwalk was wearing tuxedos, but there's so many different. Like we saw Ray Allen on the Riverwalk. We see Kenny Smith on the Riverwalk. You see like Ed Cooley's on the Riverwalk. You see all these coaches and all these random people, but we're all in the space of college basketball. So you're almost like there's like some sort of sanctity to the whole situation. Like no one's like getting up in Ray Allen's face being like, "Hey Ray, sign this shit for me." You know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of like, "Oh my God, there's UConn's Ray Allen." It's not even like Miami Heat Ray Allen.
That's the coolest thing about going to Final Fours is how everyone walking around. There are just a lot of random tall guys, and you play the game of like, I recognize that guy, but I don't remember where. He's somebody. He's 6'9". He's got to be somebody.
Is that Terry Porter?
Is that? Could it be? There's that game.
Is that Konzo or Kwanzo?
There's also you see a lot of jumpsuits, a lot of polos with the logo on there. We should do that next year where we just like pick a school and just like wear the polos and pretend like we're the coach. Just do our hair like really, get the
Slick
coach
back.
haircut.
Yes. Tuck it into some slacks.
Tuck it into slacks and just walk around with
loafers.
business cards.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys walking around.
Yeah, working ops.
It's a very cool scene, I suppose, if you're really into basketball, because like you said, you just got to have your head on a swivel. You're seeing a lot of people, but I don't know, man. I'm sold. I'm coming back to the Final Four. We did the 3-on-3 thing. The Big Ten did. The Big Ten did win the national championship.
Yes,
we won the 3-on-3.
It technically is a national title, and it's the inaugural. And just like in the past, good for the Big Ten, good for Ohio State, good for your boys to like do something early, be the first to something. 2015 when they won the first college football playoff, right?
Yeah.
This is what you do, Titus. Congratulations.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, big year for the Big Ten. We won the NIT. We won the 3-on-3 inaugural thing where Tate and I were throwing out duffel bags of cash. That was awesome. I legitimately love that event. I've not stopped thinking about it since
46 bags of cash of $1,000. 46 bags we threw out. Like we're gonna have to get Tommy John surgery now. Like we're actually injured. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it. Like I haven't slept. I still feel like I'm in a tuxedo.
it was a whirlwind. We saw so many people, and I'm just now, as we're talking about it, realizing that everything that happened we can't really talk about because we heard a story about Bob Knight's penis that had me on the floor laughing. we see, like, you hear, we're at a bar, so I'm not gonna name names or anything like that, but like we're at a bar, we hear a story about Bob Knight's penis, and I'm like collapsing laughing, and then I turn or look around. On the other side of my shoulder, Jim Boeheim and PJ Carlissimo are grabbing.
Are also talking about talking about Bob Knight's penis.
But they're like over there grabbing dinner, and it's like you just have that moment of like, where's my life led me to where I'm here? Like Jim Boeheim's over here, I'm hearing about Bob Knight here, and it's just it's a cool experience. I will go to every Final Four for the rest of my life now.
I kind of feel the same way. It's like I want to be a part of the Final Four club, and it's cool because like the teams, you'll see like a group of guys, and you'll recognize one player, and then you'll realize like, oh my God, that's like the Purdue club. Like, oh wow, that's like the Arizona guy. You know what I mean? Like, and they're all kind of like walking around. Like, if you saw Miles Simon, you're like, oh my God, there's Miles Simon, and like he's got a couple buddies that were like,
oh, is that Bibby?
Yo, oh my God, is that Pastner?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can just sort of see the clubs of people that come around, which is cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think about things we can talk about, but there are many. No.
We are gonna have Robbie Hummel on the podcast.
Yeah,
we called the 3-on-3 thing with him, and
if you ever watched a broadcast and you're like, man, Robbie Hummel's pretty boring. Like, what does this guy have to say? Like, I really don't enjoy it. Just know that I felt that way before I met Robbie Hummel in person. And Robbie Hummel has like one of the best personalities and some of the craziest stories I've ever heard, both in college basketball and professional basketball. And I'm so excited that he said he's willing to come on the podcast and tell his stories. He's been like he was like talking shit to me all weekend for in the 3-on-3 thing. He didn't think I knew anything about basketball. I made some comment about the hammer, like a hammer action. He was like, "What the hell? You know that?" I was like, "God, Robbie, this is great."
There's like a whole cycle. Here's a t-shirt. Here's a t-shirt we could do. We could do the Tate Frazier cycle of like the first thing people say is, "Wait, he's not black." Then like the second thing is like, wait, he actually knows basketball, and then like the third thing is like, wait, he can actually like sort of play basketball, or maybe there's like a height thing in there. Wait, he's like 6'2", just like the whole.
Yeah, and then from there it just gets worse and worse as you get.
Wait, he actually didn't just deliver posters? What? Everything I know about Tate Frazier is wrong. Yeah, we are gonna have Robbie on. Let's tease that interview, but then also transition. Tate, this was the last game of the season. I think the question now is that. We have made America fall in love with us. We have brought them into our world and said, please join us in the dropping of the bags. Mm-hmm. Join us for the ride that the FBI is going to take us on this year with college basketball. It has come to an end. What is next for this podcast? I'm asking you not because this is some sort of setup. I'm literally asking you because I have no idea, and I want you to answer this for me.
I have to go sleep. Nothing I say right now should be taken seriously because I'm almost delirious at this point. I know we're doing the Duffies. That's the only thing I can promise.
We are doing the Duffies. On Friday, we are going to be doing our award show. Spoiler alert, Jalen Brunson will not win Player of the Year.
No, he will not.
I guarantee you that.
He may win most disappointing title performance of the season.
Yeah, there you
go.
And
it'll be close to the Big West and the Big Three. It'll be a back and forth to see who wins that one. Was it Leland King or was it Jalen Brunson? We'll find out on Friday.
Yeah, we're doing the Duffies Friday, and then what? I don't know. I mean, we should do a Dirty Laundry compilation. That could buy us like one more episode.
Yeah, we have so many so many stories in the Dirty Laundry. That
we'll keep this thing. Our plan is to keep this thing going as best we can. We also understand that like we're not trying to burn anybody out.
Including ourselves.
If we run out of things to say, we're not going to like do a podcast. But we got the NBA draft coming up. You and I know draft. We know the players that are going to get drafted, except Dantes. Mm-hmm. Don't know that guy.
I don't know anything about him.
We have the summer league coming up. We're gonna try to have guests on. The ride continues. The grind never stops. We hope that everyone joins us along for the ride.
We hope Wagner will come on this podcast and explain himself.
That is honestly the plan this summer, is to basically just try to get like every guest imaginable and just try to get them to tell us all the best stories.
Because what we learned this weekend, we have a lot of fun just talking with people about basketball in basketball circles between each other, because, you know, we ended up talking about things like Bob Knight's penis.
That's what we learned. That's what we learned at the Final Four. You and I are in the basketball circles, and we didn't even realize it.
Yes.
So, yeah, we hope you join us. We hope you have enjoyed us all season long. This has been for I'll speak for myself. I will not speak for Tate. He's a grown man. He can speak for his own self. This has been a ton of fun. This has been like better than I ever imagined when we started this thing. I was hoping my parents would listen, and then maybe my brother, and then maybe a few other people. It's so rewarding.
Those are the only people that listen for me.
Honestly, like the most rewarding thing is that the 7% of my followers who are real, like just something happens. Like the people have like filters set up on Twitter where if the word bag is mentioned, it's just like a whole stream in my timeline of like, dude, bad guy and good guy. Like people have gotten behind this bullshit that you and I have created. It's been a ton of fun to see it turn into something. And I say that to say thank you so much to the friends of the program for helping us make this the most fun college basketball season.
And to grow the brand because, it's been
the brand
so
is strong
fun.
right now.
Yeah, and we threw out an idea to throw bags of cash on national TV, and we laughed at the thought that they would ever say yes to that.
And it couldn't happen unless –
And it couldn't happen without you guys. There's no way they would agree with this unless they had any idea who we were, and the only reason they do is because of the people that listen, so – we appreciate you.
We appreciate you so much. We hope you stick with us throughout the summer. We promise. My guarantee to you is that if I feel like we are doing podcasts that are serving no audience whatsoever, we'll just stop doing them. But the plan is to serve an audience. We plan to still produce fun content that you guys will enjoy.
Serve the base.
And we are going to be here, so we hope you stick around. If not, no hard feelings. We'll meet back up in October. That's fine too. But hopefully you stick around.
Villanova 50-1 next year. Take them now.
Take them now.
Take them now. I don't know what the odds are. Just go.
Congratulations, Villanova fans. The dynasty is happening. Michigan, you had a fun ride too.
Beautiful ride.
We wish that everyone could have won it. In the end, it was Villanova yet again. That's it. That's the season. Anything else before we go, Tate?
Right logic, right picks. We did it.
We did it. Your Wildcats pick looking good.
Looking good, folks.
That's it. The 2017-18 season is in the books. Until next time, save the crew.